Syria is now controlling by HTS. Syria is now controlling by Hayyatul Tahrim al-Sham. The de facto leader Ahmad al-Shara is controlling Syria. He is nominating Asad Hassan al-Shibani on December 21 is foreign minister. He visited to Saudi Arabia. He visited to Qatar. Different countries are making relations with the Syria. And now the new development, the Qatar prime minister is visiting to Damascus. The Qatar prime minister is discussing with Ahmad al-Shara, and he is urging the Israel they to leave the place that you are capturing. They leave the buffer zone that you are entered when the Assad regime is falling on December 8th. The Israel started airstrikes, ground operations against Syria, and especially targeted the Syria military sites, the Syria air and naval bases, the Syria weapon sites. And Netanyahu was considering that the government is now of the extremist, the government is now of HTS, which we were considering them linked with the extremists, and they can potentially use against us these weapons. So that's why we are targeting and also capturing some lands near the Golan Heights and entering into buffer zone. A buffer zone was established in 1974 agreement. The United Nations brokered the agreement between Syria and Israel, and the United Nations peacekeeping force was there in the buffer zone. But now the Israeli army is there, and the Qatar prime minister is urging Israel, pressurizing Israel to leave the buffer zone, to leave the buffer zone to UN peacekeeping forces, to follow the peace agreement of 1974. Similarly, the Qatar prime minister is ensuring the Syria de facto leader that Qatar will support, that Qatar will provide aid, that Qatar will rebuild the infrastructure, that Qatar will give support in electricity sector. And he is also urging from the Western powers, from the United States of America, from the European Union, that to lift your sanctions from Syria as soon as possible. The Western powers, the EU, the United States is imposing sanctions on Bashar al-Assad government when the protest arose in 2011, and the Bashar al-Assad is going against these protesters, taking hard line against these protesters. Then the Western powers is imposing sanctions. Now the Ahmad al-Shara, the Asad Hassan al-Shibani, the Gulf countries, and the Qatar prime minister is urging the Western powers to lift sanctions. The United States has lifted some sanctions for 6 months, some sanctions on the transactions to the Syrian institutions. And the Western powers and the European Union is considering to lift the sanctions. The de facto leader is urging that to lift sanctions as soon as possible, they to resume trade with the foreign countries, they to go on a progressive path. The sanctions lifting is necessary. Similarly, the Qatar prime minister is urging the Israel, the Netanyahu, to leave the buffer zone, to leave the Syrian territories. We will see what the Israel stance. Write down your opinion in the comment section. Thank you.